Okay. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's pretty good. Let me see again. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay, that's pretty good. Let me see again. Okay, let me turn it up actually. Let me turn it up a little bit. How do I do that? It's gonna go all the way up. It's gonna go all the way up. Okay. So, today guys, we're gonna be drawing some more. So basically how this, what? I feel like I just heard something. Okay. So basically how this is gonna work is I'm going to watch 3 YouTube videos and then draw them. And between each video, I'm gonna take a 10-minute break because I forgot to stream yesterday and the day before that. So let's get started.
See, I want to draw her in some cool poses. This is my OC. I want to draw her in some cool poses. Let's do this. Whoa, this kind of looks really bad. When did I get this bad at drawing bodies? Today, I'm going to be teaching you all how to draw bodies with the help of today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare has in-depth classes taught by amazing world-class creatives. The platform is the Thank you, Skillshare.
The deals are on at Best Buy.
I'm gonna put an ad blocker on maybe like tomorrow because I do not want these ads, bro.
Step 1 to your journey of drawing bodies. Body breakdown. When drawing a body, there are 4 major components that you need to understand how to break down so that you can draw bodies like a pro. There's the head, the innermost body, which is going to be broken down in an additional 3 parts, and then you have the arms, the legs, and then the feet and the hand would be another thing to break down. So I just wanted to make 4 sections. The first component of the body we're breaking down is the head. Now, a lot of people, when they first start drawing, are taught to break down a head into a circle or a sphere, but that is not usually how I like to do it. In fact, I use a completely different shape when breaking down heads, and that is a square or a cube rather, because a cube has 6 sides of the cube, and so does the face, which is the top of the head, the sides of the head, the bottom of the face, which is the chin, and the actual face, and of course the back of the head, which would compute to a square. So it does make a lot more sense to use a square rather than a circle. But when mapping out a face, if it's just facing forward, I do think that using a circle is a reasonable thought, but that's not how I do it. This is how I break down the face shape. There is going to be a face tutorial dropping this month sometime. This is not it. This is just how you break down the head shape. So let's start with the basic one. This would be the front of the square. This would be the top of the square, and there is no sides or bottom of the square. this would be the side of the square, this would be the front of the square, and the top of the head would be the top of the square. This would be the top of the square and the sides of the square. This would be a slight bit of the top, just enough of the front and the side. And this would be the front of the square. This would be the top, and this would be the side. Now, when doing the sides, you don't have to do a complete box. You can also angle it like that because that is how a skull is formed. It does have this part where it divots in, so you don't have to do a complete box, but for the exercise, that's what I'm just showing. The bottom of the square and the top of the square, and there is sides showing a little bit. Face, the sides, follow the skull line, and just like that. And that's how I usually form the faces, as it is 10 times easier for me. A lot of people would just do the circle.
I'm reconnecting my tablet. I didn't do this yesterday. Okay.
And like that, but that is just not how I do it, because I just find the box 10 times more easier to know the proper proportions and a relativity of things on the face or the abdomen. Now, I'm using this model for this example. As you can see, this is the abdomen area, and this area can get confusing, especially during dynamic poses, but I'm going to show you how I break it down and the reasons to why I break it down that way. So I'm going to turn this layer down just so we can see our reference, but so that we can see our drawing lines too. Now, first part of the body that I break down is this upper part right here, and let's just ignore this part for now. So this upper part can also be broken up into a cube, but that isn't quite enough information for us, so I like to swing it down and bring it up, then swing it back down and bring it back up. Now those V-cut lines are supposed to indicate the rib cage and where the rib cage lies on the model that you're using, so you know where the hip and the rib attach. Now this part right here, that is like the center spot of motion, whether the hips go out this way or if they go out that way. This right here kind of decides that, and I like to use a circle to pretty much tell me where that is, and that can help you understand if you want to make a smaller waist by dipping it in like this, or if you want to make a bigger waist, you can make a bigger circle so that you know where the stomach might lie if you want to do something like that. But for this model, the circle would be relatively small. And that's how you break up the middle part of the abdomen. And as for the bottom part, I like to start off with a square, of course, and then instead of taking away a triangle like we did here, I add a triangle to the bottom. And that is how I break up the abdomen. Now, of course, if this character that you're drawing or this model had a more pronounced chest, you would just extend it with another box and do the same method with an extra pair of squares, and triangles. So I'll use blue to indicate if the chest was more poked out. So I would do something like this, bring it across, go up into a triangle, down, and back across, and that would be the extended chest area. Now, of course, this can vary. Like I said, you can bring the waist in more, or you can take the waist out more. It is all up to you. This method that I came up with is actually inspired by ball jointed dolls. It's actually not an original idea whatsoever. If you've ever seen a ball jointed doll, they have these balls in the middle where their motion is, and the top rib cage is pretty much the same exact as the example that I just showed, and that's kind of where I got my inspiration. If you've ever seen artists study bodies, you would see them use like stick figure or wooden models that are posable, and it's simply the same concept. It's just breaking it up on the paper, and that's pretty
Hello, Astrid Animated. Welcome to the stream.
much what I'm doing. So maybe looking up ball jointed dolls that already have the broken down look to it, that could also help.
My boyfriend and I have been arguing because he won't pay for YouTube Premium, but it's okay because I've just downloaded AdBlock.
Down are the arms and the legs. And for those parts of the body, this shape that I like to look out for are tubes. These shapes right here. Those are the main shapes that you will probably try to look for when drawing bodies. The only thing is that tissue and skin does not move straight like this because bodies are organic and they have a more loose and not so linear way of moving. So as much as I want to say look for the tubes, you have to also learn and understand how certain body parts move and how the fat and flesh can be affected when they do move in those directions. And that simply just comes from practice. But to make things easier, it is quite literally a tube. And they're just tubes that connect at different points. And in the middle of those tubes, aka the joints, would be indicated with a shape of a circle, because that's just how I like to indicate them, because I've been doing it that way for years, okay? And that's pretty much how I break those down. Now that you have all the joints, you just add your tubes in. And I want to say tubes and not just, boxes, because we want everything to look 3D in the best way possible, because we don't want a flat drawing unless that is your style. But since you're watching my tutorial, that's not really my style. I kind of try my best to keep things a little bit more poked out in 3D, and using tube like figures is the best for a more 3D look, I guess. But yes, that's how I break down the arms and legs using a simple tube technique. But when things start to get a little bit more complicated, you do need to learn that, the hips aren't quite just a tube, but a tube with a curve. Like that. And that's more of a realistic looking example. Of course, those little lines like that are good for knee expression, and learning to exaggerate the proportions is also a good key, because you are trying to make an art style around the way you draw bodies. So learning to either do more or less is a good way. Like how I exaggerate the fact that there is meat here, right here, but I'm going to just delete that neat for the fact of the style. And then this part, I do bump it out a little bit more for the fact of the style, I guess. And doing that is a part of stylizing bodies, how you imagine them in your style or as your characters. And as time goes on, you'll be able to not use tubes anymore, but for starters and practice, tubes are a must when drawing the arms or the legs. Now, when mapping them out, before you even draw the legs in, a good way to know where you're even going to position them is using lines with key marking points. And the key marking points would be the joints are the keys, and the lines are the points in which you would use to attach them, like this. And then just attach them, so then you know where to place your tubes. I'm doing it rough because I'm trying to use it in a way of a beginner and how a beginner would probably do it. So this is probably what a beginner is going to see on their first try around. And it's pretty good. Down is hands and feet. Let's start off with...
I'm gonna move this over so I have more space. I could just like make a new layer, but I don't really want to. So like I have less takes up less space, yeah. And I'll just move these two over. Or three. Got a little more space. Okay. I need to find a way to turn this off. I'll just do the tap thing.
With hands. For hands, when I break them down, I like to use the box shape. That's a common shape I'm using a lot when I'm doing these, but it shows up a lot in our body. So I use this box, and then I use another box to indicate the fingers, and then the thumb, and that little thumb meat right there. And that's pretty much it. It's quite easy, honestly, but I figured I should just show it anyways. If you want to get into the details, you can use lines to indicate the fingers, but for the most part, it is just a box. A lot of the times on my drawings, I don't even actually draw the fingers, simply because I'm drawing such a small drawing. The details of the fingers, fingernails, and stuff don't really matter unless you're drawing something where it does matter for the character, like a Gyaru, where you would want her long nails to be apparent because it's a part of her characteristics as a drawing. Then maybe it would be important. But for me, when I draw traditionally and there's not much of an outlet of zooming in whatsoever, drawing finger tips and nails and everything like that is not important to me. So I literally just draw webbed hands and boxes because it's all about suggesting what the viewer is looking at and not having to draw an exact replica of which you want them to think is there. And that is just how the brain works. If you draw a shape silhouette like this for a hand and then you attach it to a wrist that is attached to a body, if the brain sees this attached to a body, it's gonna know it's a hand. Only someone who's being a nitpick is going to actually be like, oh, that's not an actual hand. It always eats in my occasion. So that's how I do it. I just use this as a square. These are tubes. These is just a rectangle, and it's all just shapes. And once you learn how to find those shapes within art in your drawing, everything becomes easier to draw, not just hands. The last component to breaking down a body are the feet. Now, honestly, I just use triangles, and that's pretty much the shape that I look for. Now, of course, if you want to break it down more, it's a triangle and then like that, but it is quite literally just boxes, just angular shapes that convey the same shape that you're going for. And that's how I draw feet. It's quite simple. I feel like the more you try to overcomplicate it, that's when it becomes hard. Now, of course, you can use round shapes for the front of feet, but for the most part, it is just boxes and triangles in this formation. And of course, for the ends of shoes, it's usually a round end. So I guess it makes sense that it's kind of maybe half circles also incorporate into drawing shoes. This part, it is just boxes and triangles in this formation. And of course, for the ends of shoes, it's usually a round end. So I guess it makes sense that it's kind of maybe half circles also incorporate into drawing shoes. But for the side angles, it's always the triangle shape with a little box, and that is just the base of the foot. And how I like to break down different feet shapes. And of course, the leg is a tube, like we learned prior. And yeah, it's really simple. It's better for me to show you than to say it, honestly. It's just these angular, boxy shapes.
By 2050, there will be more.
Now that the body breakdown is done, if you're still here, Congratulations, you've outbeat 50% of people. You're obviously enjoying the video and you should subscribe. But I have more exercises for you to follow to learn how to draw bodies. This first exercise I actually came up on
I
my
might need a
own,
new life
and
for
this
this.
one is for the people out there who can't use digital because they don't have an iPad. This one is for you. For this little exercise that I kind of came up with, you'll need to print out some photos of images or anatomy that you want to learn or trace. In this case, I chose a Chung-Li, this girl posing. Something tells me it's also a cosplay, and then this leg folding pose. I put them inside of this sleeve of paper, and now I'm going to draw on top of the sleeve, which is plastic, so it will not actually do anything to the drawings underneath. And I started mapping out the body using all the techniques that I taught you guys a few minutes ago, and this is just more practice, but in a traditional format. When I was doing them, I tried to adhere to the way that I was teaching you guys so that you can actually see what I mean and how I say it live in action, and not just through a digital pen moving on the screen, but actually see me doing it with my hands and stuff. I made sure to use like a paint marker so that you guys could see over top of some of these references, as the last two were kind of dark to the point where I think that using the orange was the best for visibility. But these bodies were, in my opinion, very fun, that I would definitely do on a regular day. But now that they're done, what you do now is just flip the piece of printed paper around, and now you can see the labor of your work. And you can even do another practice round on the back, and then when you're finished, replace it with a clean piece of paper. Now, for this next clip, I was going to show you guys me making a bunch of sketches for Line of Action, but since Line of Action did not be very friendly to me and censor the images it sent me, it would take me very long to edit it, as I did an hour worth of sketches using Line of Action, which I definitely recommend, but we'll use that footage for maybe a future filler episode in 2026. But I did want to make a little drawing for you guys at the end of the video, just because I wanted to show you guys all the techniques, but as a finished work. Okay, so you made it to the end of the tutorial. I think that is a good step forward into understanding how you want to do anatomy and why you want to do anatomy. This is the best tutorial you're going to find out there. No, but yeah, I really hope this tutorial helped. I don't really do many tutorials because I don't find myself being good at teaching, but I really put my all into trying to get you guys to understand what goes on in my brain when I'm drawing, as it's something that a lot of people are truly curious about, and it's something that I do want to get out of my head and show you guys. So I hope this video actually did me justice on how to explain things, because that is a weakness of mine. But as you can see, I put a lot of the things we learned today into this drawing. If you think this is familiar, it's probably because it is. It's the Chung-Li drawing from earlier in our practice, and I really wanted to draw Chung-Li because I'm working on a lot of projects involving her, so I thought it'd be good to draw her today just for a little instant gratification. Of course, in this free draw at the end of the video, I'm not using all the properties that I taught you today, and that's because I don't entirely need them anymore. I do use some, but I don't use all of them, and that's simply because I am not at that stage in my drawing journey, because I've drawn so many bodies using this method that now I have graduated to a different level of trying to learn anatomy. And I think that way that I'm doing it now is trying to draw as little as structure as possible and to just draw the body. And that's because I am not quite, I would never say I'm a pro, and I would never say I'm a beginner. I would say I'm right in the middle, so I just say I'm a competent and proficient drawer. So the method that I use now is quite different, but I thought it would be a good idea to teach you guys the method that I used when I was first learning, as I figure that's kind of where you guys are right now when watching this video. Now, if in the future you guys want another tutorial on this, I will most definitely put the Line of Action sketches in that video, and also show you how I do my anatomy now as a intermediate to high level artist, because it is most definitely a lot different than when you are just beginning. Because when you're beginning, you need to understand the rules so that you can alter the rules. And I feel like me now in my art phase, I am altering the rules that I've taught myself. And yes, everyone who is watching, I am self-taught. I was not taught by anyone but myself. Now, of course, I'll give some kudos to my high school teachers, but you know, what can you really learn in a high school art class when everyone's just going crazy? But yes, it's a completely different process, but in the same thought, it is the same process because I had to learn this way to then be able to draw the way I draw now. So following these tutorials is definitely the right track to get where I am. If your art is something that you would like to see looking like my art, then maybe, just maybe, this tutorial can help you. So in 2 to 3 years, your art is improving in a positive way. When I'm drawing, I like to imagine that all my guidelines are there but invisible. So in a sense, I've kind of trained myself to see without it actually being there. And I feel like that's like something that all artists have, and it's only going to be there if you train yourself, and training yourself does take time. A lot of people think you're just going to watch one YouTube tutorial and you're going to just immediately know how to do it. And that's another reason why I don't like tutorials, because I don't want to like promise anyone a miracle just by watching a 30-minute video. And it's not going to work that way. The only thing that this YouTube video can really do, if I'm being honest, is point you in the right direction. And I think this video can be rewatched a couple times, like whether you watch it now and then watch it 3 months from now or even a year from now to understand and, you know, center yourself and keep remembering the tips and tricks I left in this video. I definitely think that is how you're going to get better. But when I'm drawing in my present self now, I like to just imagine that all my mapped out structures are there so that I don't actually have to draw them, and then that eliminates a step, which in turn eliminates time. And honestly, I'm all about spending a long time on my art, but I do think that a part of feeling like you're doing better is the speed in which you do your art. And I don't think that dictates the entirety of your art, but in my sense, I think it's a thing to be proud of when you can get to a point where you're hitting new records and finishing art at a higher pace than you did before. And I feel like I finally can see that in my own art and see that in myself, where I'm completing art and actually creating a lot of new things in a time period I did not think that was really possible for myself. Here is the finished artwork. I think it turned out super cute. I'm getting really good at rendering with paint markers, and I think it's because I'm trying to imagine myself as if I'm doing it digitally and trying to put detail in while also keeping the clean, simplistic look that makes paint markers. But if you like today's video, make sure you drop a like and let me know what other tutorials I should do, because these tutorials are actually kind of fun to make. Bye bye!
Okay, that was a pretty good video. I was actually gonna say something else, but I forgot. I actually learned how to draw feet too. Like, I don't know. There's never like a tutorial on how to draw it. They just go like wait, how do I? Just go like bam bam bam. And then there's a foot. Like what? Anyway. Yeah. It's pretty good. Let me finish this, and then I'll take a break, and then we'll do the next video, which is 15 minutes, so it's gonna be shorter. Let me actually just draw like an entire upper body. Let me make her like legs thicker, because I don't know. There we go. Done with day 3? Yeah, day 3. Okay. Let me full screen this. Okay. Okay, 10, not 10, 1:15. There you go. Okay, bye. I'm back like 30 seconds early. Let me mic check again. Oh my gosh. What is... Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Testing, testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Oh yeah, it's been like 45 minutes. Huh. It's only 1.5 times longer than the videos. At least right now. So, yeah. Let's start on this one. I really need to know how to turn this off. But, yeah.
Hi guys, welcome to a new video, and today I will be sharing how I draw bodies. So first of all, I would like to share with you a very important practice. Now, why is this important? Well, because it teaches you how to draw the overall form of the figure and the proportions and movement. Things like these important vocabulary words, okay? Write that down. So how do you do figure studies? Well, the very traditional way of doing it is looking at a naked person in real life and drawing that. But I don't know anybody who will get naked. So instead, I look on Google, and all you need to do is look up figure reference. And today I've compiled a few references from Sketch Daily, and you can choose all the different options for what kind of pictures you would like. And now, let us go through a drawing demo of 3 poses.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
Okay, so basically, you're just gonna copy the photo. Whenever you do art practice, you want to try to focus on at least one thing you want to improve on. Also, you can do this practice as like a warm-up. Sometimes I do it as a warm-up. Alright, so I think the most important thing to convey when thinking about the movement is the line of action. Now, what is the line of action? Well, it's a line that shows the overall movement of the form. So let's see, if we were to draw a line, I would say the energy, alright? The energy emitting from this pose is kind of like this arch right here. It's something like this flow, alright? So yeah, collect the vibes and just feel it. Just want to feel the pose. Art is all about feeling. It's about the feelers. And for stylization, the more you exaggerate this movement, the more dynamic the pose will feel. Now, there's a lot of different artists that are really good at exaggerating the line of movement. For me, I would say maybe I dabble in a little movement action. So I'm just capturing very, very roughly. You kind of want to be quick with it, because the more figures you draw, the more muscle memory you gain. You want to build those muscles. And whenever you use a reference, you always want to look back and forth constantly. This is also an exercise for your eyeballs, okay? This pen is like really light, so I don't even know if you see the drawing. Here's it basically, you know, here's the basics. So there we go. I just captured the very, very basic shapes, and it helps me gain that understanding of these shapes and proportions, because while you're drawing, you want to think, okay, so the head is this big, so how long is the arm gonna be compared to the head? Like maybe like 3 heads long. You always want to be comparing. Alright, let's move on to this lady. I think she's about to do some hitman activity, but that's unrelated. Oh, by the way, these people are not naked because I don't know if YouTube will allow that. So, what's the line of action, guys? Draw it with me. Draw it with your finger. I'ma say, boom. Yeah, you thought so too? You're correct. And you deserve a pat on the back. So give yourself a pat on the back. Also, when it comes to posing, you want to think about what emotion, what feeling you're conveying. So you can see this pose is very stiff, kind of. Very like straight lines. And why? It's because she's girl bossing. So when, you know, when you girl boss really hard, you know, the arms are gonna be like, just like so straight and just like power. But the power, you know, the power of a stick. Because sticks are not flimsy, alright? None of the wiggling is happening. And the more you draw figures, the more you will recognize the same shapes going on. And that's how you incorporate it into your own art. I think I broke her leg. Alright, and notice, I think her arm is a little too long. But that's okay. When you see you make mistakes, don't dwell on it too long. And just try again, with that in mind. Every time you will improve, you will become greatest. Oh, I didn't draw her gun. That's actually important for figure studies. Amazing. And let's do a final example. So what is the line of
I learned this in art class, but basically you want to focus more on the silhouette than anything, and just like the shapes. Okay, like that. Sound like all curly and stuff.
Every time you will improve, you will become greatest. Oh, I didn't draw her gun. That's actually important for figure studies. Amazing. And let's do a final example. So what is the line of action? I would say kind of similar to the last one, but she's sitting down. But this one, it has less straight lines. So this is more of a dainty pose. Something I also like doing when it comes to adding more movement is notice how all the limbs, it has a curve to them. They're all curving, right? So if you exaggerate that more, that will give your characters a feeling of more dynamic movement. Sometimes I like drawing the limbs very stiff as a stylistic choice. So it's really up to you. Alright, so there we go. Just very quick. And then, you know, a very important thing about practices is that you gotta make sure you get a good night's sleep. So after you do this, take a nap immediately. No, I'm kidding. Just like go to sleep, guys. Trust me. So now that we got the basic figure practice,
I'm gonna finish this, and then I'll move on. Okay. So this video encourages you to be like more loose with it than the second one. Because like even though the second one also encourages you to be like looser, still like asks you to do details like the face and like the wrinkles, like the hair details. But yeah, this one's like super loose. Actually try and finish the first one too. It's like add a little more detail than just this line. 0 organs. Okay. It's not my best work, but it's work. Oh yeah, it's like better to time them, so like you don't spend too much time on it. Oh my gosh. Okay. Yeah, I'm done with that one. I'm done with it. Okay. Let's go back here. No. Ads.
If you're an aspiring mangaka who spent years dreaming about your own manga series,
Alright, so there we go. Just very quick. And then, you know, a very important thing about practices is that you gotta make sure you get a good night's sleep. So after you do this, take a nap immediately. No, I'm kidding. Just like go to sleep, guys. Trust me. So now that we got the basic figure practice studies out of the way, how do you use that information from drawing from real life and transfer it into art and make it into your own style? Well, simple. You just gotta draw.
Time to heal.
Alright, so actually, you gotta dig deep into your heart and your soul, okay? And you have to think about things like what kind of shapes and lines do you want your art to have? For this example, this person draws bodies with a lot of round shapes. So you get this feeling that it's like squishy. And then for this example, this person uses a lot of geometric sharp shapes, giving a more simplified, shape, geometry, calculus feel. And then I would say for my style, I like drawing long, lanky bodies. So now I'm going to show you a drawing demonstration of how I draw a pose. Okay, so what if we do... I don't know, I have to think, guys. Let me think. Okay, I'm liking this pose. You know, I said something about arching the limbs, but I think I'm a liar. Because I think I like drawing really more stiff limbs. See, they're very straight. When it comes to stylization, you're also stylizing the proportions. Like a lot of people, I like drawing them legs long. Also, I would say a tip when it comes to your art style is, you know, if you're struggling too much, you just gotta learn. You just gotta learn to let it go, man. Because sometimes we get too caught up on having a really distinct, specific art style. But sometimes it just doesn't happen. And then we don't realize that we already actually have an art style. Because no matter what you do or draw, your style, if you're drawing consistently, is going to be influenced by your inspirations and your environment, whether you like it or not. So everyone has an art style in some way, and you may not even realize that. You can work on experimenting and honing in on a specific art style you like. So I hope this video helps with that. Now I like using a lot of pointy shapes. So this nose is very pointy. This is a vampire, by the way. I probably didn't need to say that because I'm just addicted to vampires and everyone knows it. So this video is more about the basic figure and stylization, but I'll probably make a video on more specific anatomy stuff in the future. But honestly, I'm not that good at anatomy, guys. Let me be frank. We got a scandalous chest action, if you know what I mean. Alright, and you know what? The more you arc the torso, waist area, the more demure you're gonna get. Alright, so I love doing some arching action, if you know what I mean. So this character's quite skinny, because I draw a lot of twinks. But I can also do a quick drawing with a different body type. Now with this hand, here I like to exaggerate kind of like the square shape right here. And so, you know, it's actually unnatural. This angle of the hand is unnatural, but I am exaggerating because of my own stylistic choice. Yes. And then he's gonna be picking his nose like a disgusting man. I wanted the hand over the face, but I think I like how I drew the face too much, so now I don't want to cover it. But that's okay, we can move it. Oh, we can do a little this. Oh my god. Oh my god. He's so dainty. And when it comes to posing, I think if you want a more dainty pose, I feel like you're gonna use a lot of closed posture. You see, it's like the thing with man spreading. This is like an open posture, right? But like if you're dainty, we have a more closed posture. And even closing in the hands as well. Extremely dainty. Oh my gosh. Crazy. That's the dichotomy of man. Guys, this is a how to draw bodies video, so that's why he's basically half naked, okay? This honestly, this might be a little too much baby face. So, it's just in my blood to give characters a baby face because I also kind of have a baby face. And then we can also do some corrections. Like I think this arm is too big. Now I think the legs are too big. Dude, imagine if this was traditional. That would be painful. Life is so much more painful in traditional, I gotta say. Okay, so that's my little drawing. So yeah, I would say I like stylizing anatomy by using a lot of long limbs. Cause it's kind of spooky. I like spooky things. Anyways, I do want to draw someone more career, so let's try that. I'm gonna draw my character Lily. She's an ancient character. Or actually, I'm sorry Lily, you're gonna have to go back into the really dusty closet. I wanna draw red rum. I gotta think of a pose. It's just in my blood.
There's quite a bit of this video, so I'll probably make like a new layer. I'm so tired. Even though I don't know, I think I slept for 8 hours. Whatever.
To give characters a baby face because I also kind of have. I'm gonna draw my character Lily. She's an ancient character. Or actually, I'm sorry Lily, you're gonna have to go back into the really dusty closet. I wanna draw red rum. I gotta think of a pose. Well, you know what? Let's just draw and see what happens. I'll give her short hair. If I'm doing a more simpler drawing, I like to add a swirl to the ear. Because I love swirls. I like adding swirls to everything. The hair too. I like always adding a swirl to the hair. Now the neck itself isn't really an area that would get a lot of the fat deposits. But there's certain areas where it does. Like the upper arm. Her body type is like kind of curvy but a lot of muscle. So I'm gonna kind of try to give give that vibe. I actually don't know like what is this pose at all. Like I am confused. So I am just gonna draw this like Joker thing and then she's more masked. So we're gonna avoid the dainty posing strategies a little bit. Guys, what is this? What is happening? What is this pose? You know what? When you think of a pose, you gotta think of what's happening. So, like, she's just standing there. Like, that's boring. She's gotta be doing something. You know what? I think she should be, like, laying down, kind of like slouching in a couch and playing video games. I think that's the vibe. So, how do you draw a switch? Well, you just draw a, rectangle and then you round the corners. Boom. You're welcome, by the way. And then to draw the hands holding the switch.
I'm in high school and I have absolutely no idea what I want to do for my career. And that's what I would have said if I never used futures.
You just draw hands. You're welcome, by the way. That looks bad, by the way. Okay, again, I'm trying again. This is the greatest hands I've ever drawn. Okay, it's over. People are gonna say I drew these hands with AI. Sometimes I like drawing the hands first, disconnected from the body, and then you could kind of just like do the guesswork about where everything else goes. Some poses are really weird and the foreshortening is weird, so I'm weirded out right now. I'm weirded out. Yeah, we gotta add a pillow couch. Actually, maybe she's on the bed. So I got the pointy shapes up here. These are inaccurate. I need to fix this part. I need to make it character accurate. And so the thigh is also gonna reserve more the chubbiness, the chubby fatness, yes. And then like this calf area as well, the buttocks and belly. So that's how I would draw this type of body type. What kind of bed do you think she would have? I don't know. I always draw this type of the bed bars. Maybe let's do it like this. Anyways, sorry, this is not a furniture drawing video. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Those were just some drawing demonstrations and tips. And hopefully you gained something. That would be awesome. Yippee! So, yeah. Goodbye.
Time to heal.
Okay. So yeah, that was mostly like King Sada like demonstrating their own style. But that's pretty helpful. Like specifically the figure drawing part. Like you at least want to focus on like the broader details first. Like this is like barely even detailed. Like maybe the boots, but yeah. And I took like a few notes, I guess, on like posing this is like how I draw. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, being dainty or being this. I don't know how to describe it. Being more open. Like posing will like depend on the character. And yeah, I like took some notes on how they draw. Like curved lines for like the hair, at least for this character. And like they have mostly straight lines in the art style. And then yeah, more fat is like rounder. Like this. Like most of the skin is just like straight shapes. Yeah, for this the skin is like round shapes. Except for like the hands and stuff and the face. So yeah. So yeah, it's really helpful. I actually really like the art style. Then the last video, I'll probably just run through the last video. I'll take a 5-minute break. I'll take a 5-minute break. I'm actually learning, guys. Okay. Let me break the thing. Oh no, my tablet disconnected. Oh no, no, stop. Stop it. Oh, why is it doing that? Oh, why is it doing that? Why is it glitching out? Okay, please be normal. Okay. I'll make it 5 minutes. 5. Oh my gosh. 5-min break. Back at 1. I can't count what's 5 minutes from now. 1:47. Okay. Bye. Okay, next video. After this ad, bro. Okay, next video. Oh, I forgot I have my sound on my iPad. Yeah, I really need an ad blocker. Actually, what is this? Oh wait, never mind. That looks like AI. It is not. I feel kind of bad for saying that, but anyway. Okay, let's get into the video.
Do you ever draw a character and they're just kind of there? They got no personality, no life. Well, you may be the victim of stiff posing. So here's 5 ways you can turn this into this. Let's get into it. Okay, first you're gonna need an interesting idea. This allows you to have a bit of purpose when doing the rest of the things I'm gonna be talking about in this video. So get that big juicy brain into gear. The way I personally come up with ideas for my artwork is by thinking of an object that I want my characters to be interacting with. I then try to consider the personalities of the characters and how they would react to the object. So this particular method of choosing a concept is especially exciting if you have OCs. Everyone's brain works in a different, beautiful way. So try and do your own thing for this section. Just as long as you get that delicious morsel of concept by the end. Gesture drawing is all about capturing the movement of a pose using loose, purposeful marks. First, you're going to need some references, and ideally, the more of the human form you can see, the better. Too much flowy clothing can distract you from the form. There are websites you can access online that have a selection of nude and clothed reference images specifically curated for you to draw. When I do gesture drawing, I usually start off with a line of action, more on that later. Then I mark the shoulders and hips as a general guide for proportions. I like to use a loose and pressure sensitive pen or a real pencil and paper to draw, and also I avoid using too many sharp and straight lines. Gesture drawing is about capturing the movement and expression of the pose, so instead use a healthy dose of C and S-shaped lines too. The line of action! It's your best friend when you're creating dynamic poses. A great way to start drawing the line of action is to draw the longest unbroken line through a pose, usually trying to keep the line as C-shaped as possible. Some poses can also be broken up into 2 lines of action, but nothing more than that. Let's not try and overcomplicate things here. Now that you can observe a line of action on a reference, how do we start using them in your art? Well, first of all, you want to decide if you want to use a positive.
I'll also be practicing the thing talked about in the last video too, by drawing these. So yeah, let's get into it. I'll draw 2. Yeah, 2. Maybe I need to redo that. Stop. Stop. Okay. I don't know why I made it so small, but you know, whatever. Okay, let's do another one. Something more dynamic. Maybe this one. Roller skates. Okay. I should draw like a circle for the head first. Okay, Pro's like super bent over, so I have to capture that somehow. Okay. So I'll draw the arms first. I don't know why. Actually, no, I'll draw the torso. And the shoe. Oh my gosh, foreshortening. Foreshortening is my mortal enemy. I hate it so much. Yeah, I might need to redraw the torso. I think my PC's overheating. I'll be done soon, PC. Hang in there. I cannot tell what's going on in the back. Okay, I think I'm done. There you go. Oh wait, I need to draw this shirt so the form kind of makes more sense. No! I think my tablet is coming up. Okay, we're good. Should I do another one? I kinda wanna do another one. I gotta do this. Make it like really small though. Okay, I kinda can't see the details, so yeah, we're gonna have to wing it, chat. We are gonna have to wing it. I have no idea what the hand is doing. Oh my gosh. I'm gonna keep going. Okay. Okay, wait, let me try the method that was talked about in this video. Okay. I do it like that, and then you want to drop box. It was pretty good. Looks like he's wearing socks, but it's okay. Let me try and draw the top part. There you go. Totally accurate. Okay. Let's continue with the video. Okay, wait, where was I? I'm just gonna go here.
More on that later. Then I mark the shoulders and hips as a general guide for proportions. I like to use a loose and pressure sensitive pen or a real pencil and paper to draw, and also I avoid using too many sharp and straight lines. Gesture drawing is about capturing the movement and expression of the pose, so instead use a healthy dose of C and S-shaped lines too. The line of action! It's your best friend when you're creating dynamic poses. A great way to start drawing the line of action is to draw the longest unbroken line through a pose, usually trying to keep the line as C-shaped as possible. Some poses can also be broken up into 2 lines of action, but nothing more than that. Let's not try and overcomplicate things here. Now that you can observe a line of action on a reference, how do we start using them in your art? Well, first of all, you want to decide if you want to use a positive or negative line of action. Positive line of action is going to convey confidence, whereas a negative line of action will convey sadness or shyness. Try to think on your concept to figure out which one will suit you more, and then it's up to you how much or little you use the line. With some stylization, you can exaggerate the natural curves of the arms and legs to really stick to your line of action. Or you can just use it as a soft suggestion. Any pose that is touching the ground is gonna look funny if you don't consider weight while drawing it. If your repertoire of poses is looking like a Toyota ad, you're good. But for most other things, you're gonna have weight-bearing limbs, or pillar limbs. Usually your pillar limbs are going to be closer to straight than not, and if they're bent, they're tense and strong. Alternatively, you're gonna have the other limbs, and they just get to float around looking pretty. Easiest way to incorporate this concept into your art dynamically is have the weight balancing predominantly on one leg, emphasizing this by showing how the foot interacts with the ground plane. The last delicious morsel of information: foreshortening. I love a bit of foreshortening, especially to emphasize the object that the character is interacting with, but it is notoriously hard to pull off. For foreshortening to really work, the drawing needs to be in perspective, as in that you can indicate the thing that you're drawing exists in 3D space. My art style is quite stylized, so I have my own methods for drawing in perspective that can seem a little lazy. My lazy method is using cross contour lines, which is the foundation for the coil method, another really popular method of foreshortening. So with foreshortening, a lot of the muck is that the limb has no dimension. It's flat. You can't imagine it moving around in 3D space, so it looks a little awkward, a little short. But by using cross contour lines, you can kind of suggest the 3D form of the object. And suddenly, it's look and sound. 4K HD, baby. So that's a few pointers on how you draw dynamic poses. Now you got a cool pose, but what are you putting in the background? Hey, wait, what's this? Still talking here. Special big thank you to all my supporters over on Ko-fi. If you like the artwork you saw in the background, I send a monthly physical letter out with a print and sticker. Alright, I'm done being useful. Bye.
I didn't mean to click an entire movie. Anyway, let me pause that.
Do you ever do
so I might use the other video for the later days. Might just like add that in. But it's pretty helpful. Yeah, I kind of just emphasize like other stuff that was said in other videos. Also, I'm gonna try this. Instead of like user OCU, so I'm gonna try that. So foreshortening, I'll try and use like all the methods discussed in my example. Yeah, it's okay. It's pretty good. Okay. There you go. Okay, so I am going to move this. You go under there. Move this just a little bit. Probably not even gonna use this part anyway. But basically, I'm going to try and apply all of the principles discussed in a drawing. Just a sketch, not like a full-fledged rendered drawing or anything. I might go see. Yo. There you go. So, let me think. I'll draw her holding a blueberry. Yeah. And like sitting while holding a blueberry. Yeah, I'll draw her legs crossed, yeah. That'll probably look better. Oh yeah, I also try drawing like the anatomy from second video. Just to like see exactly how it would play out in an actual drawing. Actually, yeah, let me just do that here. So, the rib cage goes here. Box. Kind of want to taper it up at the end. Yep. And then ball. And another box. Then the pelvis. And then the joints. And then another joint for the knee. Kind of want to draw more of a cylinder. Then the foot here. No, I'll just make it like a side view. I didn't get kicked in the face. Okay. I might actually make this a full-fledged drawing if I like it enough. I'll angle it like more over here. Okay, Mary Jane's. Is that what they're called? I feel like I've been watching too much Spider-Man, so I don't actually know. Whatever. It's okay if the foot looks weird. No one's gonna pay attention, probably. Okay. Then gonna round this off. Have it like be a dress, I guess. I don't know, I just like drawing those the most. It's like the easiest thing to draw ever. Okay. And then I'll draw a blueberry. I do not know how to draw hands. I literally like watched a video on how to draw hands and I don't know how to draw them. It's just wing it, yeah. Like so that you don't want to focus on the entire thing. It's like the base shapes. I also want the blueberry to be like visible. Let me draw more. Let me draw like further out. Blueberry. How am I supposed to draw this hand? I feel like I should draw like more bent. Wait, I don't want to erase the entire thing now. Okay. Like this. Yeah. Yeah, I'll make it like shorter. Okay. Okay. This is hard. Yeah, I'll move it inward. Then bend it. So. Okay. It's actually a really awkward position. Also, maybe I would be facing outward. Okay. I got it. I got it. I got it. Yes. I got it. Okay. Okay, and then the head. I'll draw it like a square. Okay, I need to make the neck shorter so she's not a giraffe. There you go. We draw the hair too. Why not? No, iPad Connect. Or to say iPad. That's a drawing tablet. It's because I mostly use my iPad, so yeah. eyelashes. Oh. Okay, there you go. Cushion. This isn't a furniture tutorial. None of them are furniture tutorials. So, that's my finished sketch. Yeah, I think that was pretty good practice. So yeah, I'm probably just gonna end it off. I don't wanna draw anymore. Maybe like I'll fill the space with some heads or something. Thick eyebrows. All compared to my other eyebrows. Actually, I don't even draw eyebrows. There you go. There you go. Okay. Maybe another one. One in is it King Sada? Let me see. Yeah, King Sada's art style, totally. So like a more bubbly character. Never mind. That does not look great. I can't like draw like lips. I don't know. I can't draw lips like this with this brush. At least not in this size. Make it smaller. I'll just try Mio, I guess. Let me increase the brush size. I should probably turn the mic off when I'm not talking. But I guess the stream's gonna end soon anyway. Okay, that's pretty good. So yeah, day, I don't know, day, oh yeah, day 3 to 5, because I missed a bunch, because I was like going places. I'm busy with like an actual life, not a job though, because I hate employment. Anyway, I'm just gonna show a bunch of spirals, I don't know. Okay. So guys, I will see you probably tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow. Even though I have some shopping to do. Have a amazing, great day. Amazing, great, fantabulous day. Let me save it first, actually. I haven't saved this entire time. Okay. Oh, answered. Bye. Bye.